Yes, yes, yes. We know what that sound means. Time for In The Paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese. We are back after the summer break. Thank effing God. That break felt like forever. But round 15 takes us to the shores of the North Sea, as we're back in Holland, otherwise known as the Netherlands. For the 35th time is the Dutch Grand Prix. Holland is known for its windmills, canals, bicycles, tulips, clogs, cheese, and beer. I'll take some of that Pilsner, thank you very much. It's home to Van Gogh, Rembrandt. This ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing Zandvoort, 2.65 miles, 14 quarters, 2 DRS zones. Even with the full beans, 463% you're laughing. Oh man, we got a wild one today there for the Dutch Grand Prix. Oscar had pole, took the lead. That's all we need to talk about for Oscar. We'll get back to him again. But then the madness started at like lap 20 or 25? We had crashes, safety cars, virtual safety cars, more crashes, stuff on the track, mechanical failures, a little rain. But Oscar then takes the win. Max takes second. Hajar gets his first podium to round out third. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Greeny, good day, sir.
Isaac Hajar, how about that on the podium? A little mishap to put him on there. A little disaster for your Ferrari. What the hell's going on over there in Ferrari? What a freaking disaster that was. Embarrassed. Absolute embarrassment in the Paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese, we are back. F1 is back. And here we go. What a ridiculous weekend of just crash outs. And I'm going to start here. Yes, Oscar Piastri won, put himself in a situation to be 35 points up now. If Lando Norris figured out, instead of bursting into flames, making his deal with the devil apparently over here, and if he ended up passing Oscar Piastri, it would have been a 2-point lead. Piastri, a 2-point between first and second going in down the stretch. Now it's 30 plus points, 35 points, I think it is, as 34? We just finished up the race here. 34 points as 34. We just finished up the race moments ago. And I'm sure Isaac Hajar, as well as Max Verstappen, once again, another podium for him at his home Grand Prix. Holy moly. Zandvoort never disappoints, and we've had a history of horrific crashes at Zandvoort. Nothing horrific today, but definitely a lot of crashes all weekend long. Practice was... I don't know what the hell was going on in practice. Nobody could stay on the track. And let me tell you, I don't know if we'll get to this later, but the excuses that they gave for Lewis Hamilton, they were literally lining up to let Lewis Hamilton know how slippery the paint was. Okay? Giving him the excuse before he can just have it, even has his own excuse. And a disastrous day for Ferrari. Absolute disaster. Not completely their fault, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But got to give it up for Oscar Piastri. Now takes a 34-point lead, as you said. And looks like the last 9 races, if he can finish podium in these last 9 races here, it's going to be really, really tough for anyone to catch up to him. It's absolutely impossible pretty much now for anyone to catch up to McLaren in the Constructors. Cheese, how do you feel about how this weekend went for Oscar Piastri and McLaren as a whole, and any other tidbits you got here for another year at Zandvoort?
It could not have gone any better for Oscar than it did. Let's be dead honest. I mean, I'm sure he didn't want to see his teammate, crap out there catching on fire, but 34-point lead is pretty nice. So you got, there's 9 races to go, 34-point lead.
All's well that ends well.
34-point lead, I mean, that's, you can't be complaining right there. That's a tough damn break for Lando. with a handful of laps to go, and I'm smelling the car's on fire. I could smell it. Something smells funny. That's not what you want to hear. It's another Mercedes power plant issue, it seems. So something to think of there.
Could have been a lot worse, though. Hold on, could have been a lot worse because of
worse.
all the oil
that
was leaking.
Yeah.
All the oil that was leaking, and you got fire and oil is not a good combination, sir. And everyone knows that.
No.
Even the dummies know that. Okay, so it could have been a lot worse on the track there. So they kind of lucked out a little bit in the worst case scenario. But yeah, just what a shit show for Lando Norris. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts there on the McLarens.
I mean, yeah. That's just a tough break, especially when it's lost 18 points. It's a big damn chunk. 34 points behind. That's his second DNF I think of the season too for Lando. So he really needs Oscar to have a DNF at this point if he really wants to get back into this. I really think, unless there's just some kind of disaster happens in Oscar and for an upcoming race. But as good as the McLaren has been this season, do you really see that happening? Them having a super disastrous weekend? Because I do not. Max again takes second at his home Grand Prix. I mean, Max is doing more with that car than probably should be. So, I mean, what was that? His first podium in 4 races too for Max?
5 since I
Something
believe
like that?
since
5?
Silverstone.
4 or 5 races. So
4 or 5 races first, but you don't see that every season.
You don't see that
you haven't
very
seen
often.
that for a
You don't
long
see that
damn
very
time.
often.
That
No.
was a long
So-
streak there for Max, and a lot of just a great weekend for Max Verstappen, and all the fans coming out. He's got to be pumped there, coming back. And listen, Red Bull overall looked really good there. Not just the main team, but you almost had a situation where you had 4 Red Bull. It wasn't for Liam Lawson, and you would have had 4 Red Bulls in the top 10 there. So potentially,
Yeah. And then of course, Hajar's first career podium. Yeah, he got there by Lando's misfortune, but you know what? You got to be there. He stuck it in 4th that whole race.
Podium is a podium. And if he didn't quali where he qualied, he would have never got there.
Yeah.
So you got to give it up to him. You got to give it up. F the whole situation with the screw up from Lando. Yeah, obviously you put him on the podium, but he would have been jumping for joy in 4th. So
Absolutely.
The
he
podium
held on
is
4th the whole race, and going into the race, there was Mercedes, Ferrari, and everybody else really behind. Didn't think Hajar would have the race pace, and he showed that the car did have race pace to keep it up there in 4th that entire race. Staying in front of Leclerc and Russell for the entire race. So showed a lot. There.
Oh, that was the whipped cream and sprinkles. The podium was the whipped cream and sprinkles on top of that hot fudge sundae. That's what that was, okay? Because fourth would have been just fine, especially with the season that Red Bull overall is having. That would have been, oh, happy day, oh, happy day. So that's all I got to say about Isaac Hadjar. But great job by him. Great job by Max Verstappen. And just a fantastic job by Oscar Piastri. Final thoughts on our top stories before we head off, strap my helmet on, and head into Quizmaster's cockpit, sir.
No, it just turns up. Oscar can pretty much coast from here on out if he wants. If he just drives well and keeps the car in, just keeps it on podiums, it's going to be his championship. It's his to lose.
Absolutely, his to lose. All right, sir. So I am strapping on my helmet. I am ready to go. If you're ready to go.
I am ready to go. Are you ready? It's the question.
All right, we don't need that music just
You
yet.
are actually ready, but I don't know if you're going to get there, so we'll find out.
I have no freaking clue if I'm going to get there or not. Zandvoort has a interesting history. Let's see if I can rack my brain. It's been a while. It's like almost like taking a season off. It's always tough coming back and getting back into it. I have not had my head in F1. I've had my head in a lot of different places. Been traveling across the country, as you know, here. Been dealing with a lot of other stuff. So hopefully my brain molecules can come together here for down the stretch. Let's see if we can open up strong. Quizmaster's cockpit got the bell ready. Let's do it.
All right, question number 1. In what year did the Dutch Grand Prix return to the F1 calendar after 35 years off it?
I think it was 2021.
That is correct, sir.
All right. Yeah, that was a little cake. The return of Zandvoort, very exciting.
Racing between them sand dunes.
All right.
All right, here we go. Question number 2. Who has the most wins at the Dutch Grand Prix? Throughout history, not recent. Through the entire Dutch history of the Dutch Grand Prix.
I believe I know this one. I believe it's Jim Clark with 4. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Wow.
Wow.
I knew that one.
Wow.
I had that one. You didn't think I would get that one. First one was Gold Cake there. So, all the marbles were on the question number 2, which gives us a question number 3, which once again, I get the music on. I almost had almost every single episode this year. I've had the music.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can finish strong here. With the pressure and the sweat.
Well, unfortunately, you cannot phone a friend.
Cannot phone a friend. I cannot get 50-50. I cannot pull the audience.
No.
But the pressure is on. All right, sir.
All right, here we go. Question number 3, sir. Who won the last Dutch Grand Prix before it was dropped from the calendar in 1985?
Oh, I know this one, too. I believe it was a McLaren as well. And I believe it was Niki Lauda.
That is correct, sir.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I'm back, baby. I'm back. It has been a while since I went for the 3 in a row. I've gotten the first 2 right a lot, but that was a tough one. The first 2 weren't too hard there. But the last one, in 1985, Niki Lauda, after the last time, after that long, way too long break from Zandvoort, Max Verstappen taking the first 3 back, I believe, 01, 02, 21, 22, 23, and yeah. And then second, I think, last year and this year, right? Second this year and last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about that?
All right, well, you got all 3 right, so that is a hot lap.
Wow, going to winners. Yeah, you got to flip the page upside down.
I do have to flip the page upside down.
Even though I've gotten a lot of 2 out of 3s, I haven't got a ton of 3 out. I think only like 3 or 4 times I've gotten all 3 right. So very proud of myself there. Let's go. Winners.
We're gonna give it to Aston Martin. 7th and 8th, double points. This team was in the past to turning around a little bit recently here, and we trashed Lance Stroll enough on this program. So, I mean, I bet he wasn't going to finish the race today. So,
oh yeah,
prove me damn wrong.
You had, and we'll get to that in Greeny Bucks very, very shortly as the music goes on and the smoke fills up the room because you probably needed a doob after your day you had at that casino in the sky. But we will get to that in a moment here. Yeah, great job by Aston Martin. You know, got to give credit where credit is due. What else you got there?
Well, I'm going to give it to George Russell again, another top 5. I mean, 4th place. Just absolutely consistent. Absolutely consistent, like this year. The car might not really be there, but he's just somehow willing that thing there, it seems. So,
Absolutely.
another, just another great performance of George, yet again.
Absolutely.
Those are my winners.
Yeah, it was a really, really tough weekend, I think, for Alex Albon overall. Very, very just... He was frustrated. Some of those radio calls that you heard were pretty frustrating for him. So for him to come back and Williams to get it together, especially Alex Albon putting it together and coming in fifth, I think that was just an excellent performance by him. Just to hanging in that race. Overcame a lot of crap this weekend. Really did. And his frustration was really showing. And I didn't think he would score points this weekend, honestly, with all the frustrations he was having and Williams was having overall. But look at him finishing fifth. Definitely took a little bit of luck, from the Kimi Antonelli and Lando Norris situations, putting him there. But fifth is fifth, and so got to give it up to him, especially with his teammate there, Carlos Sainz, having a really, really rough go at it, having that 10-second penalty, which we'll get to in a few minutes here. And, of course, how do you not give it up for double points for Haas? Ollie Behrman's best finish ever, including his small stint with Ferrari when he took over for Carlos Sainz that one weekend and finished seventh, I believe, this time finishing sixth. Again, a little bit of a tush-push there, as we say here in the U.S. For American football. Got a little push over the line, but he would have finished eighth regardless. And, of course, Ocon there finishing. But he started in the pit lane and then finishing sixth. How do you not give it up? And this is not the first time. And, honestly... four of the five races before this, finishing at 11th, right outside of the points. Man, what a great year. I don't know which rookie's been better, but, to have two rookies in our winners once again in Ollie Behrman and Isaac Hadjar, got to give it up for both of them. But, of course, I'm going to give it up for my boys at Haas. Really, really turning it around, and hopefully they'll continue it in Italy next week. So, of course, that, sir, brings us to our losers. Who you got on the loser side of things?
All right, Carlos Sainz. You mentioned him already. 10-second penalty, driving like a lunatic. Williams expected way more out of him this year. They're getting it from the other side of the garage, but they're not getting it from his side of the garage. So, very, very, just absolutely insane rough season for Carlos, and it continues. So throw him in the losers. Ferrari, man, just disaster. I mean, Leclerc getting crashed out by Kimi, that wasn't his fault. But I mean, when bad things are around, the bad juju's in the team, and bad things just keep happening. Lewis crashing himself out. Didn't really make excuses for himself. Said he lost the rear and couldn't recover and smashed the wall. I mean, he didn't make any excuses. Some are going to say it was wet, but nobody else crashed out like that. So, just absolute disaster weekend. Especially when it seemed that things were turning around a little bit, and then right back into the garbage can in the toilet. And then you head home to Monza, where the pressure is going to be humongous.
There's going to be a lot more pressure now. Yeah, those are some losers right there. Listen, you got to give it right to Pierre Gasly, who gets beat once again by Franco Colapinto, who should not be consistently beating his teammate here, who was, looking really good last year in a lot of ways. Maybe not the results he wanted, but definitely was expecting a much, much better season. And Liam Lawson back in the losers again. Definitely made some mistakes today, for sure. Definitely pissed off some people, that's for sure. And it's surprising that he didn't crash out. I definitely thought he crashed out there when he got
crashed into by Carlos.
Yeah, I don't know who was his fault there. I got to see that one again. who was at fault between Carlos Sainz. I think we have a discrepancy there. You're saying Carlos was at fault. I think Liam Lawson probably was at fault there. So I'm going to give him the loser there for being at fault there. Either way, Liam's had a pretty good run here, but definitely I think he was at fault there in that crash. I think if you take another look at it, he definitely was encroaching on Carlos's racing line there and took him out. Or
Carlos
at least
dove that thing in there too. So.
Yeah, they're both knuckleheads. So you want to give them both losers because they both ruined each other's races today. I can go with that because they both screwed each other over by being knuckleheads. So
I mean, Carlos did get the 10-second penalty for it. So
he did, and maybe unfairly because Liam Lawson probably was right there in regards to being at fault. So pretty questionable there. And that, of course, sir, brings us into the final part.
I need to slap my goddamn for that.
Of this wonderful segment. And that's the slap of the week, sir.
Oh, you got to give it to Kimi Antonelli. I mean, that was disastrous there at the end. You wreck Leclerc out of the race, dive bombing in there. Then you speed in the pit lane to boot, too. So you get yourself 15-second penalty. That's just a disaster. And he's not a rookie anymore. You've made it halfway through the season. You've got through the summer break. You're not a rookie anymore. You can't be making dumb rookie mistakes like that. That's just not going to work.
He started going in the wrong direction before we even went to break. You could start seeing the cracks.
Yeah.
In what would start up to be a really, really good season. We started seeing the cracks, and then just kind of a disaster, kind of a shit show.
It's come off the rails.
Just after the first penalty, then gets a pit lane penalty as well. Just ends up like finishing 7th, I believe, and then actually 16th after all the penalties. Yeah. We had that late restart there, which definitely put him further behind. Maybe he would finish in the points if we didn't have that late safety car to crowd up the field and him finish 16th. But maybe not. But still a freaking knucklehead. Slap your damn self. Yeah. Slap yourself with some Zandvoort
down by the
sand.
beach. Get a little sand, too. Get a little sand
Get down on the
That's
beach.
right.
You got that wind whipping in from the beach. You got the rain coming in. That don't matter. Slap your damn self. Slap your damn self. Speaking of beaches.
Oh, yes. It's best dance sound of the week. Well, maybe not for me this week, but we'll get to that. Time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island. Agree to. Well, the beer flows like wine, and the wine flows like beer. I can use some of that beer right now, too. Oh, yes. And my favorite part, which I could definitely use after today. That cannabis grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. It's like Iowa corn. Just keeps going. Take a little whiff. Oh. That air smells fantastic. So we take a little walk to the top of the hill, casino top. Just like Monaco, baby. Tickets in hand, are we cashing in or are we checking out? Get me the hell out of this hotel casino immediately. That's all I can say.
You're cashing out. Not a good week for you, sir. I caught up a little bit before the break, made it pretty tight as I was only down by, I think, 50-something, 45 greeny bucks, 3,662 to 3,717 going into this week. And, sir, you put down 5 bets, a lot of trifectas, all with Lando Norris in those trifectas in different ways. And, of course, you can almost guarantee Lando Norris at least getting podium. But he did not. You had George Russell in one of those trifectas. You had Max Verstappen in one of those trifectas, which was a good one. I had that as well. I lost on that one. I was the only winner this week, which was Yuki Tsunoda finishing in the top 10 plus 175. So that wasn't a terrible bet. Won me a couple greeny bucks back on my other losses there. Again, with the trifectas, but everything was blown up by Lando Norris. I also had the, and you had as well, racing both finishing in double top 10. We both had that. Because that seemed like a gimme this week with how well the Racing Bulls were doing all weekend and in quali, but that kind of fell apart with Liam Lawson, who I'm extra pissed off at. Still deserves the loser column, regardless of how he cost me the Greenie Bucks. But at the same time, deservedly so, avoided the slap from me. But I still finished with plus for the week. Well, actually, I finished minus for the week overall, losing about 65 Greenie Bucks. You took down 250 Greenie Bucks. You lost to my only 65 Greenie Bug loss. We both lost this week, but you lost a little more, which puts me now at 3,597 Greenie Bucks to your 3,467 Greenie Bucks. That is exactly 130 Greenie Buck difference in my favor for the first time in a long time, sir, where I take a slight edge, which means you need to win something. Listen, if you won any of your 5 bets this weekend, any of your 5 bets, you would have had the lead, but you lost all of them and put you at a slight disadvantage. 130 is not a tremendous amount to pick up, but with 9 races to go, you are in second. And like a Lando Norris crash and burn.
It's all coming off the wheels.
Well, the wheels are not coming off just yet. But if you have another week like this, and if I take another couple $100 Greenie lead on you next week as we head into your home race advantage in Monza, big week for you coming up. Big week for Team Cheese in the gambling department. That's all I got to say about that. So I think if we're good with that, it leaves us to the final segment of this week's broadcast, and that is, sir, in the news. We got a couple news stories worthy of speaking about. Some interesting ones, that's for sure.
We'll end with the big announcement. We'll end with that one, but Christian Horner's been ruled out of any position at Alpine, according to Flavio Briatore. What's your thoughts on that? I thought he was probably possibly getting that team principal gig, but apparently not.
Yeah, listen, things can go in a lot of different directions now. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into anything until the ink is dry on the paper, because someone is going to take that job. Right? So I wouldn't put any stock in anything at the moment. This is not an immediate fill they need to make anyway until, I would say, by November, you probably would want some legitimate names in place. You don't know who's going to be leaving Red Bull at the moment now, if the fallout still continues at Red Bull. There's still a lot of talent there. There could be a fallout further at Ferrari with everything going on, and some people, moving on from there as well. Some other names that could come into. So I wouldn't be so jumpy at the moment to hire anyone, because there's not much you can be doing at the moment. Development plans are really are going to be coming in I say 60 to 90 days, but you're going to have to make some kind of move within 60 to 90 days and to get yourself ready for the 2026 season, because you're not going to be scrambling to hit up 2026 regs now. You have the plan in place. Every team has a plan in place for 2026 already. So whoever's going to be coming in to any position in Formula One right now is not going to be reinventing the wheel for 2026. They're going to be looking forward and going with whatever plan the teams already have engineering-wise, if that makes sense.
The cars are changing, but you don't really want to be making you pretty much should have your design pretty much set for at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
if you don't
I mean, you're not changing your design
know
at
what you
this
got.
point.
No, if you don't know where you're at this point, you're in deep trouble then for next year.
Yeah,
If you don't,
nobody's
anywhere,
building from the ground up. So,
no,
hence,
no, you're pretty. Yeah.
No, hence what I was saying is that there's no rush to get anyone in because there's no one going to be rebuilding, reinventing the wheel, no pun intended, here for any of these cars. Whatever plan they have for 2026 is already set. But interesting. We'll see what happens.
And the really big meatball for the week. I'm sure you got some things to say about this. Cadillac has named their lineup. Pen has been put to paper. Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas will be the two drivers Cadillac takes to the track next year in their inaugural season. So they made the announcement on a morning talk show, Good Morning America, here in the States.
No better than my childhood weatherman, okay? Introducing my Sam Champion, my childhood weatherman, okay? Who knows nothing about Formula One. Knows nothing. And I think we got to do a deep dive. I don't think I gave it justice listening to this full interview because we might have to do a special show just going over this interview and how Sam Champion has no idea what Formula One is. He'd read it about it for maybe 20 minutes before the show, jumps on, has no idea who Bottas or Checo Perez is, and Perez and Bottas have such different personalities. You got one guy who's the clean-cut, Mexican businessman, and you get another guy with the faux hawk, ready to dive into a vat of Jello and wrestle a supermodel. So you got such different personalities here, both in the same field on the same team, and then you got Sam Champion who has no idea what the hell's going on interviewing. We got to do a deeper dive into this one, and if you haven't seen it, it was all over the news. This happened only a few days ago. We knew the announcement would be coming either during the break or slightly after the break for Cadillac. We've been talking about this for months now when that announcement would be made and gave them the flexibility. Most likely it would be two veterans, as it is with some household, clout, some namesake. But that being said, no surprises. The only surprise was Sam Champion, of all people, the weatherman, and, who lost his job as the chief meteorologist for Good Morning America to my friend Ginger Z, who I get to chat with during the year, who gives me personal weather reports. So let's go Good Morning America.
His gig's pretty good. They send him all over the place now, so.
He's had a great gig since the 1900s, sir. He's had the gig since ABC New York, Channel 7.
That's fair.
6:30, right in between The Simpsons and Jeopardy. And you get Sam Champion, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in New York City without Sam Champion. And now you don't know what's going on with Cadillac F1 without Sam Champion. So how, as the world turns. All right, what else you got, sir?
That's all I got.
Well, I think we do have to piggyback on something that we've spoken about 100 times as well, and not just the Cadillac, but Yuki Tsunoda having the warning, as we've all been talking about, no surprise here, that he better shape up by Mexico. He put some points on the board this week, but Red Bull is definitely breathing down his neck, and likely, unless he gets points every single race for I'd say 7 of the last 9 races, it's going to be unlikely that Yuki is back with
He can't
Red
just
Bull.
make the points. He's got to score not 1 or 2 per race. He's got to get to fifth, sixth, something like that. Score some points if he wants to keep the job. That ain't happening. I think we reported weeks ago that he was told he ain't going to have a gig next year. I mean, that sounds more likely to me because he stinks. He only got in because Lando fell out of the race because of mechanical failure, and Kimi Antonelli was a kamikaze.
Well, the only reason he's there is because Honda likes him, and Honda likes his name brand. But again, Honda also likes winners
Honda's
as well.
not going to be with Red Bull next year.
They're not going to be with Red Bull, so that screws up the whole thing for him. Yeah, I think Yuki's done unless he really, really shows something. He's going to need, and especially with Isaac Hadjar now podiuming him, probably is the worst thing that could have happened to Yuki this week. Is someone like Isaac Hadjar who could have been, hypothetically speaking, in that seat as opposed to Yuki. That would have been a bold move. But it was more bold than Liam Lawson. Was it? Would putting Isaac Hadjar in that seat over Liam Lawson been bold, more bold? Maybe not.
Yeah.
So I think that really is a kick in the nuts for Yuki Tsunoda with a podium from a guy who had no business making a podium, and you put a guy who should be at least scoring points very consistently, top 5, top 6 very consistently in Yuki Tsunoda, not doing squadouche until this week. And what a freaking mess. All right, sir, you mentioned it before, but where are we going next? Quick turnaround.
Quick turnaround next week. We are to the place we all love, the Temple of Speed. That's right, we're going to Monza, baby. Slam that right foot to the floor and let's go.
Could not have been a better time for Ferrari. They could better not screw this up. Do not screw this up, Ferrari. Okay?
They're gonna
don't F it up.
They'll find a way. They'll find a way.
Do not F this one up.
Gonna find a way.
Because if they have a double DNF or they have some like 7th and 11th finish next week, it is going to be bad news for the rest of the 2025 season for Ferrari. That is for damn sure. Thank you all for joining us. As always, say what you got to say, brother.
I will see you guys next week for the Temple of Speed. Until then, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.